It is time for another dose of fertilizer here on my lawn, and so I want to show you a new approach that I'm taking this year. You may have heard of it, you may have not, and that is spoon feeding. So essentially what spoon feeding is, you're essentially taking the normal dose of fertilizer, which I usually do 3/4 of a pound of nitrogen about every 6 weeks, and I'm actually going to cut that in thirds. You're going to give smaller doses, and so I'm going to give a 1/4 pound of nitrogen every 2 weeks. So what this is going to do, it's just going to give lower amounts of nitrogen a little at a time. That way you can more so control the amount of nitrogen your lawn is getting instead of giving it a huge boost all at once. Some benefits of taking this approach is you won't see a surge in top growth like you typically would if you just threw down 3/4 of a pound all at once. Also, it should help with disease, especially brown patch here on my front lawn. So that is the approach that I'm going to take this spring and through the summer, and I'm going to switch between 2 different main fertilizers, so we're going to talk about that. Alright, so for this application today, I'm going with the X Green 818 from Carbon Earth. I will leave a link down below if you want to check this out. I'm also going to alternate, so every other 2 weeks I'm going to be using Milorganite. And I know a lot of people are going away from Milorganite, and that's okay. A lot of that has to do with the cost and availability, and I have a stash of it left over, and so I'm going to use that up. And so I'm going to be using X Green and Milorganite interchangeably every other 2 weeks. So you can do this with any fertilizer, something you already have. However, if it is a fertilizer that requires 3 pounds of product per 1,000 square feet versus this would be 9 pounds per 1,000 to get 3/4 of a pound, it's going to be much harder to cut that rate and put down a lower amount. Here's an example. If you can see, there's the X Green. It looks like sand. This is a greens grade fertilizer, which means it is tiny prills, and here's Carbon X. So if you see, those are much larger prills, look like mint Dippin' Dots right there. The Pro Pete is also a greens grade fertilizer, so that would be a good one to spoon feed. Milorganite is actually pretty good. You have to use such a large quantity to get down 3/4 of a pound that it's much easier to cut the rate, because you're still putting down quite a bit. One thing I want to note, I absolutely love these greens grade fertilizers. The tiny prills, they're just so smooth, so easy to spread, but I will say they are harder to see coming out of the hopper versus something like the Carbon X that has the brighter, bigger prills. And so you just kind of have to watch the hopper to make sure you're putting down the right amount, and you can watch it go down because it's hard to see how much is coming out. So remember that. Alright, so that is how you spoon feed your lawn and recommended products to use. You can use any product, but it's going to be easier if you use a greens grade product or a biosolid or just something that takes a lot of product to put on the ground, especially if you're using a homeowner spreader like this. If you have a professional spreader, you can probably get away with spoon feeding almost any product and do it easily. But that's what I'm doing. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below if you have not already. I will leave links to these products down below if you're interested in checking them out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.